So let's go ahead and get started with our first fabulous poet. Joanne Godley is the author of Picking Scabs from the Body History. She is a practicing physician, poet, and writer whose work is formally informed by social injustice. She is a native of Detroit, residing in Alexandria, Virginia. Joanne spent time working in Africa as a Peace Corps medical officer. She is convinced she is a descendant of nomads because traveling is one of her greatest passions, along with art collecting, salsa dancing, and cycling. So please welcome our first featured poet, Joanne Godley.
I'm going to begin with poem number 23, and I'm reading from Picking Scabs from the Body History. Lupita speaks in tongues, hosts ravenous haunts. My second child of 3, my medium in the middle, quiet to the point of translucence, bewitching girl of icy dead patience, asks, can Papa Wilbur stay for dinner? Tonight, winds claw the moon. Fierce chill cuts to bone. Grandfather's father was Jim Crow lynched, dismembered and burned. Our broken bow returns for feast, an amalgam of char and ooze. He stands near Lupita, cradling his skull. The two exhale as I assent. Sure, I say, sure, and set an extra plate. The next poem I'll be reading is poem number 14, and I'm dedicating this to all Black mothers. I will not touch this wound, will not. I've taped my hands at night, worn mittens and gloves, created internal distractions to stay as far the hell away from myself so the hurts could crust and scab over. I am a Black mother who told both children at their becoming ages what it meant to be a Black in America as they left the cute age, transitioned to the intimidating age, and arrived at the dangerous age, America's categories for Black youth. I read the little Black book to them at night, How to Be Black and Stay Alive, my girl included. The book told you to look a grown-up in the eye, to neither smirk nor shirk nor grin when spoken to. Stress the importance of enunciating and articulating the King's English every day, to respect their elders, to neither lie nor cheat, to say yes, sir, to an officer, and understand that milk is a food, not a beverage. When my son was a PhD at UChicago, he organized a protest group, UChicago having closed their trauma unit, forcing many Southsiders to bleed to death en route to an ER across town. Ms. O was then administrator. The group leafleted, held talks, picketed, enraged, and engaged the university for years. Someone sent me a YouTube video of my son's arrest at one protest. Chi-Town cops surrounded him. He asked that they call the university because the protest was sanctioned. He used the safe word. Those pigs took my 77-inch baby down, face down, then opened ranks. The camera showed him on his face, on the ground, handcuffed. My heart, flash, froze. I tried to squeeze my body up into that cell phone, shove aside those cops, slip off his manacles, and say, get up, baby, mama's here. This drama plays on repeat in my head a zillion times each day, each night. Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Sean Bill, Michael Brown, Alton Sterling, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Daniel Prude, all made the news for walking or running, or speaking, or seeing nothing, or breathing, or simply being Black and human. Silent tears well and crest inside my pain is a wrapped box nobody wants to open, the anti-gift. I am all Black mothers to all Black daughters and sons, birthing them, growing them, launching them into the world to fight social wrongs or die trying. Their exit wounds wound me, linger deep, crust over, taut, tough scars I point to with Black mother pride. This scab, that scab, there, those be my sons. This next poem is poem number 10. Boukman and Cecile dance as rain clouds beckon, dance atop Black pig hide, an offering, a dance commemorating their allegiance, never capitate or captivate Haitians. We gather comparing atrocities wrought by those with the keys to the chains, while Hogan and Mambo dance under the rain. In those infamous Gator Woods, the storm sparks souls to battle. Prayers rage on, and a bloodlet cry, never enslave Haitians. Staccato drums temper a high pig squeal. When clouds clear, the pig's head jammed on a stick, the high priest and priestess orbit again. History alone will decide which dance was revolutionary. Meanwhile, woe to those who dare shackle a Haitian. The first in liberation in the West, now among nations the poorest. Visions of Boukman and Cecile dancing magic, so all will know, never chain Haitians. This next poem is poem 19. And because she was a restless babe, wanting more than to march and sing Stand By Me, and because her hometown burned and Dexter Avenue smoldered from spent cocktails, and because the betrayal leading to Malcolm X's death raised her fledgling dreams, and because Vietnam was a slow inferno and veteran carcasses roamed the streets, and because darkness gave cover to the Black cat skulking with urban calm. She hailed that cat, threw her leg over its wild part, and clutched its warm recesses. And because they rode with revolutionary wile into the city's bowels, then rose up through its consciousness like Icarus. And because the spirits of Fanon and Lumumba exalted them with a chorus of berets, always the people. And because the cat's cross-haired power and mastered the photo op, the FBI took note, igniting a battle. And because J.E. Hoover smoked those black cats from the sky, cat hair and claws were everywhere. This next poem is poem 15. Put the word out on the street. We're out of asylum. Finished. We're not stocking asylum this season. There'll be no safe harbor here. If you were looking for justice, equality, a listening hand, freedom from persecution, we used to carry all of those things, but no more. Asylum was getting way too popular. Everybody wanted it. We couldn't keep it on the shelves. It got out of hand. Anyway, we won't be offering asylum under current management. You ask, is there anywhere one can find some asylum these days? Under the table or for above market price? You say you just want a whiff? Well, you might try our neighbor to the north. They may have a small amount of vintage asylum left. I wouldn't advise trying our southern neighbors. They're liable to tell you, "Sí, como no, asylum," then try and interest you in some AR-15s smuggled from here to there. This next poem is a revision of a poem that's in my book, and it's entitled Signs of Impending Civil War, Côte d'Ivoire, 2002. I saw palm trees at attention. I saw clouds evacuate the sky. I saw an empty marketplace. I saw baby-faced soldiers cradle AK-47s. I saw no one on the street make eye contact. I saw musical snow on TV. I heard a civil war could never happen here. I heard the buzz of a cut phone line. I heard the embassy announced by a walkie-talkie poured water in pots and cans and bowls and pails. I heard rumors of bodies ditched and dumped. I heard no one say, "This will pass." I smelled the stench of burned flesh. I smelled fear like surround sound. I must stay home and away from windows. I must mattress with loved ones. I must witness, witness, witness. I have two more poems to read. This next one is number 5, and it's after or in acknowledgement of Naomi Shihab Nye's poem entitled Blood. Never dismiss the power of the king's English, my bourgeois father would say. A dark urban monarch, he lulled many to slaughter with multisyllabic words. My father, a verbal grim reaper, preferred language over guns or box cutters. When I was young and militant, he wore his negritude like new money, strutting word by polished word, laughed at queries poised to him. Where on the map is Negro land, I asked. He dreamed of eating watercress sandwiches with Alabama housewives at Woolworths, while I prefer the proletariat comforts of fatback and hog maws. When African repatriation pressed the agenda forward, he claimed Negroes were non-returnable items, with melanin being a firmly affixed label. Father's family migrated to Illinois from Mississippi by pocketing the North Star and following the drinking gourd, harnessing energy loosed by its brilliance, its light giving hope, spawning new futures, hope like an elixir everyone drank, hope as knowledge harvested from abundant fields. If we returned to Africa tomorrow, how would we thrive? Homeless, strange fruit we now be, tragic human produce with dwarfed and nameless roots, plucked from our life source, worked and discarded, rehung on trees. These days, Father and I recoil at the news, commoditized prisoners as stock. Father shakes his fists in the air so hard his diplomas quiver. The frames slide down the wall like beads of sweat. What is the point, he asks with furrowed brow, of listening to ancestors with restless legs, we who have lost our mothers, lost our way? And this last poem is number 24. I come from a line of rageful folk, rage-filled, raging, full on, full up, enraged people. I do get it honest. Ours is a line of rageful folk with the power to flee, whippings from the overseer, later the lynching parade, Now flee the gun, chastising us for the busted taillight. Courtesy of cortisol, a chromosomal microdot, hosting that chemical, keeping us on high alert, causing sugar diabetes, high blood, cancer, stroke. Court a soul. It wounds the womb, inflames the blood, perimeters gut fat. It speeds the mind, a self-wrought PTSD, elixir of choice for the hunted. Every adult person of color in the USA has loads. Genetic rage. Mine is a line of rageful folk, lines of waiting folk, enraged but calm, waiting to work, waiting for the next shoe drop. Rage passing through generations like electricity, sparking a few, burning out many. Echoes of slavery steeped in our genes, rendering us eternally vigilant, internally restless. We all sleep with both eyes open. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. That was incredible. And thank you for sharing such important and timely poetry with us. Poems that are sometimes difficult to hear, but necessary. I can't thank you enough for that, for sharing your story. Well, I think we're ready to move on to our next poet, Marshall Witten. Marshall Witten is the author of My Mind's Eye, which is forthcoming in December. Having practiced law for more than 50 years, Marshall has turned on his retirement to writing poetry. The natural word inspires many of his poems, as do politics, philosophy, travel, human relationships, aging, and death. His poems have appeared in The Mountain Troubadour, and as an elected public servant in Vermont, Marshall served as a state's attorney and later in the Vermont House of Representatives. He lives on a long country road with his wife, Elaine, a professional artist who has illustrated his books beautifully. Together, they enjoy long walks with their dog. He shovels snows when necessary and writes because it's always necessary. Please welcome Marshall Witten.
A lot of my poems are informed by the Vermont landscape, a part of which you see on the picture behind me, although there's no snow now, but it's a view that we see out our windows. The first poem comes from that view. It's called Barred Owls. This night in early spring is nippy, quiet. Insects are not yet out, nor is the moon, which leaves these inky heavens far from town bright black, yet porous with navigation stars. A barred owl's eerie chant breaks the utter silence. A quarter mile away, another echoes back, exchanges closing time and space. When things are dark, it pays to advertise. The edge. The closer you are to death, the more alive you feel. That's a quote by James Hunt, a Formula One world champion. What makes a man take risks? Achilles chose a warrior's life, a hero's death, enduring fame. Or thrill to see another gamble against grim death with skill or chance. Crowds mob arenas, feeling watching risk is akin to taking it. There is a place on the edge, in the curl, where mastery mounts invisible. Adrenaline floods every pore, focuses the mind to now, transcending reason. I am familiar with that place. It has a switch that slows time down until it flows like honey. A four-wheel drift in hairpin curves, a night approach in fog and ice, balancing gale winds against the sails, seeing prey death bounce in crosshairs. The Buddha taught we have no need to dance with death. The place is here within, more scary than a charging bull. The real risks and tests of life are learning how to trust and love. This next poem was written in a 1790 house built by Vermont's third governor, Isaac Titchener. Ghost noises. The wind howls pulse our house, which squeaks and groans. A quarter millennia dowager grumbles her infirmities. The wide board floors creak as if a phantom treads the halls. The front door wind chimes clang, demand the bolt be drawn to admit my nebulous fears. I pull the covers to my chin and spine shiver. Heavy snow falls now. I pray the silver wolf lies curled within his den, not stalking the storm and my unfocused dread. The ceiling fan turns slowly in dim light as the clock strikes 3. She's spooned beside me in deep sleep. Her quiet breath calms my heart. My mind's eye is dedicated to a former law partner, Harvey Carter. His wife is listening and watching here tonight. He was a friend for more than half a century. This poem is one of several in my collection about Harvey. How it turned out. Our lives are written on the face of dice, our lot the sum of countless rolls. Harvey is in hospice care with Alzheimer's. He had always dreaded this. Sometimes he doesn't speak, but sings, or converses with himself out loud, or sleeps all day. Awake, he smiles, winks his blue eyes, aware of what is going on close by. He fell while in respite care. First words to his wife flashed from some momentarily unshuttered window, a small glimpse into his mind and memory. The autumn of all good things just went poof. Autumn change. I walk along the ridge in autumn's crisp dawn, watching fog astride the river's root, the clash between warm water and cold air. The meadow grass still clings to green. The trees' old summer suits yield to brown and yellow and orange hues, all soon to fade, all a part of nature's cyclical changes. Purple aster persists, while frost has killed less hardy plants. Approaching fall and winter trigger my unease, remind me of the fragile transience of even joyful happenings. Children sledding, laughter, hands held to a crackling fire. Like Janus, I cannot resist the urge to keep on looking back as I face winter's sweep. Second mowing. It's been an August week of cloudless skies. The farmer's mowing fills the humid air with sweet smells from fresh cut hay. The fields are patterned with tedded curving rows along the rolling terrain like dreadlocks, waiting for the sun to dry the crop. The baler swallows lines like a conveyor belt, spitting cylinders nonstop. 600 pounds apiece. The smells and measured order of this scene suggest that we are masters of the land. But farmers gambled with the gods, dice faces, pestilence, drought, tempest, insects, markets, costs. Sisyphean bargain, endless labor quietly performed in these regions east of Eden. Foxtrot. We watched a fox and vixen court in woods on a snowy knoll. They wore rich russet coats, white-tipped tails and white vests, leapt stone walls and fresh fallen logs in their black boots, engaged in intricate, extended, intimately patterned dances. They circled slowly, slipping under branches, then rested together, then apart, resumed their frolic, racing, playing tag around stumps, trotting delicately, patiently building trust. Their graceful gambol slowly flowed from sight. Morning hunt. A hunting fox trots lightly on the snow. He halts to gauge if Charlie's bark is near. Deciding not, he glides on across the meadow in early light to search for rabbit, rodent, whatever he can flush or find beneath the frozen shroud to quench his biting hunger. He moves head down to catch a smell or sound. This fox will die if he cannot make a kill. At breakfast, warm and full, I watch his moves. The barren winter scene evokes my empathy with fox, relief that my next meal doesn't hinge upon what I can find in this hard place. I root for him, aware of nature's law. His meal must mean another creature's death. Two goshawks. Two goshawks launch from the verge at my approach. First one and then its mate, their freckled bellies gleaming white against the snowy hill. They glide, wings outstretched like Icarus, defying gravity, yet unlike him, do not fall featherless to sea, but float across the meadow in fluid, invisible to me. Mimi. Mimi turned heads with her blue eyes, fair skin, high cheekbones, glistening raven black straight hair, audacious red lip ice, athletic build. She married Bob, Ford dealer, state senator. He was always away. She stayed home alone, raising kids. His third campaign, August heat, humidity, election rally at Equinox Hotel. The governor, the featured speaker. The room's French doors opened onto a patio and outdoor lighted swimming pool. Mimi's scarlet cocktail mini sheath stood out among the others' dowdiness. The event droned on and on. The governor began his speech, and Mimi got up slowly. She left the head table, walked through the room, out the French doors to the pool. All eyes followed her. Chairs turned as she shook off her shoes, stood on the diving board, bounced up and down as if on a trampoline, thumping hard with every jump. Would she dive, or would she slip and splash? Her drama held the audience until at last she stepped down smoothly, scooped up her shoes, and slowly strolled away, hips waving, sayonara. Stillness. I hear the tick of soul-sustaining calm. No breeze astir, no bird song, no insect buzz, no tree flouncing its leafy skirts. No squirrel scolds from deep woods, no bullfrog foghorns to females on the mirror-smooth mill pond. No rippling meadow grass, no turkey's head in the underbrush checking for danger, no droning jet or highway murmur. Elsewhere, distractions, social media, smartphones, friends, the chatter of co-workers, ads hawking soap, security, cereal, sex. Relentless sirens call for my attention, jostle aside the quiet spaces, dim my memory of the password to my soul. Triggered memory. A sunny day, returning home on a lonely stretch of western Massachusetts. No neighbor within a mile. A vacant building looked like it was last an auto body shop. Some 40 years ago, it was a famous barbecue where on a snowy night, I and my partner, Harvey, tired from trial, returning home from Boston, stopped for ribs, fries, and a beer. Dressed for court, we elicited stares, but soon curiosity melted any standoffishness, and we traded stories with regulars on hunting, weather, grilling meat, Kennedy, Bay of Pigs, the war in Korea. My heart hugs that evening's camaraderie, my long, sweet, bitter journey since with Harvey, and my dreams of what might have been. Harvey's brilliance, dimmed now by Alzheimer's, that leaks his life drop by drop each day, teases me with his physical presence. Beauty faded, I grieve for times lost like that snowy night. Storm change. The strong storm spreads a thick cloud curtain across the meadow's verge, obscuring what lies beyond. The dark mass drifts deliberately toward me now, like a toxic gas. Its hovering, indistinct edge threatens to wipe all sin and guilt from memory. Delete regret. Erase my will for empathy. That severed psyche would be a different me. It's better to accept, embrace what's past, and like Odysseus, journey home at last to live and grow with all that I have done and seek soft ways for time that's left to run. Hubble looks back. To look is to ask. What are these astounding images, born in explosions with light-bending power at times and distances beyond our emotional grasp? 3 pillars of creation, gas and dust star-sculpted monolith, blue and green backlit, fearsome red horsehead reared among the stars. A mystic mountain crowned with Kronos castle. Your 2-ton mirror peering back in time, 13 billion light years near the beginning, what wave did you catch? Did you dare to look upon the face of God? Or are your reflections a mystery he chooses to disclose? You entertain an awe, but answer only science questions. We grapple with what meaning lies beyond. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Marshall. Thank you so much for sharing such poignant snapshots from your life. We can hear your joy and your sorrow and your tribute to quite a special friend. Sounds like he was really lucky to have you in his life. Okay, I think we're ready to introduce our final feature of tonight. Pamela Anderson-Bartholet is the author of Just the Girls, A Kaleidoscope of Butterflies, A Drift of Honeybees. Is that a great title or what? Pam is a poet, lover of blues music, traveler, hiker, and yoga practitioner who grew up in Warren, Ohio, an area once known as the Steel Valley. Her poetry has appeared in Work, Mason's Road, Atticus Review, Sky Island Journal, and elsewhere. She holds a Master of Arts in English Literature from Kent State and an MFA from Northeast Ohio. She's been a ghostwriter, grants writer, and fundraiser for public radio. When Pam's not traveling with her husband to far-flung places to snap pictures of windows, doors, and light bulbs, you can find her in Northeast Ohio, Virginia's Shenandoah Valley, or Charlotte, North Carolina. It's my pleasure to welcome Pamela Anderson-Bartholet.
So thank you, Shawn and the Poetry Box Press for hosting the reading. It's such a pleasure and an honor for me to read with Joanne and Marshall. And I'm grateful to all the friends who came out tonight. So I'm going to start with 3 yoga poems. I can figure this. 3 yoga poems. The first one, called Jesus into the Room. 30 minutes into hot yoga, someone groans, "Jesus," and he shambles into the studio with a mat tucked under one arm and an eco-friendly water bottle dangling from his index finger. His hair twists into a thick top knot, and his bare feet, disturbingly pale and blue-veined, slap against the floor as he unravels his mat and stretches. It must be 100 degrees inside, a sweltering hotbed of cheetahs, crows, warriors, and mountain climbers, with Jesus being the real standout. He rises into a column as vertical as wood smoke before folding like a deck chair into down dog. When he flips into a one-arm handstand, everyone suppresses the urge to applaud. No one is bold enough to invoke God. And the next one, Her Moment. This was inspired by a yoga practice I did in Naples, Florida. Her Moment. Lucy, the studio dog, is a basset with heating pad ears and desolate eyes that belie her preferred status among the well-heeled yogis who frequent this studio. She is nothing like Newton, Sir Isaac, not Fig, the tomcat entrenched at that used bookstore in Bonita Springs. Newton could shrivel a yogi's toes with one malevolent glance, but Lucy just aims to please in a realm where pleasing involves fancy cars, fine jewelry, and workout attire that costs a month of Sundays. She paddles into the studio, nails clattering and slobber trailing in a viscous line across the floor. But there is not one person, not one, who doesn't kneel down and offer Lucy her moment of grace. The third yoga poem, The Salt Marsh, was inspired by Quiet Mind Studio, and I dedicated it to Lee and Linda at the Quiet Mind Studio in Wellfleet, Massachusetts. Morning light cascades across the studio's darkly polished floors and buttered walls. Someone has opened windows, one after the other and the other, beckoning the cooling sea breeze and sounds of footfalls over crushed clamshells. Inside, unison breathing as trees transform into storks, then dancers, as warriors become archers, then goddesses. Beyond this sanctuary, rubbernecking vacationers jostle for priority service at PB Boulangerie or stake out swatches of sand at Newcomb Hollow Beach. The lobsterman sings his ditty, and fiddlers, making the most of low tide, wave oversized claws or shamble sideways before scuttling indiscriminately into random mudflat tunnels. The salt marsh spackles with pale green spines as it rises, an old man heaving out of his easy chair. And then I have a little traveling poem. It's called The Space to Be. Just past the deck, the lake plumbs deep before it thins and slips into a tiny fortress of scrub brush. Beyond that, the towpath meanders east-west toward the turnpike and Cleveland's Amtrak station, where you board Lakeshore Limited to Chicago. You catch Empire Builder to pass through Wisconsin, then Minnesota, and North Dakota. Hay bales speckle fields, quixotically softening this tight-fisted climate. It would be hard to live here, but that's not the plan anyway. In Whitefish, you pause for a whistle stop because the stuffed bighorn sheep showcased inside the station is beautiful and strange. It's a quick hop to Washington State before the southbound curve propels you into Portland with its cascades of water and luscious tangles of onyx and emerald. This is the place. Here you will find the space to be. Here your heart will pry itself open. It is brave to pull back the covers of a heart as you have, to slip silently past the lake beyond the deck. So the next two poems are dedicated to the two artists who created the cover of my book. Here's my book. It's Meredith and Liza created that cover. And this first one, poem, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, after Pink Floyd, is dedicated to Meredith. Ink jets from your fingertips in needle-sharp streams, darkly confused and mysterious until you give it shape. One flourish coils into a woman whose eyes rattle silently. Another streak swaggers and twirls in exuberant vines that halo into spikes around her head. You have created her. She is a woman who shines and glitters, whose rage will shatter every barricade snarling at her margins. Your ink Slicks of ebony under her feet infuses her with power, and I say, shine on, you crazy diamond, shine on. And then a kaleidoscope of butterflies, a drift of honeybees for Liza. Your garden schematic is magnificent. Cross-hatching and penciled boundaries invade pages like a murmuration of starlings. You have filled multiple journals, one for each crop since you were 17. This year is your best year, on and off paper. Tomatoes snuggle with basil, catnip and cucumbers caress butter beans. Multicolored carrots cheerily burrow near peppers, but fennel, who hates everyone, sulks in a pot by himself. Festivals of marigolds buttress the periphery, with the corner closest to the street allotted to sunflowers, giving them optimum access to sunlight. Alyssum and delphinium flagrantly flaunt their blooms to seduce a kaleidoscope of butterflies and a drift of honeybees. The drowning bucket, scattered seeds floated atop 12 inches of water, beguiles unruly chipmunks. The most adventurous slide into cool oblivion, their punishment for excavating your tulip and daffodil bulbs. Straight into the compost pile they go, where something, you confide, has been masticating their soft, chestnut-colored carcasses. Everything in your garden is going exactly as planned. That's a little tragic, but there you have it. A little far from our food sources, right? So sorting socks. I actually wrote this poem many, many years ago. It was a couple days before my father died, and I was just putting laundry together, dried laundry together, and I wrote this poem. It's kind of an older one, but sorting socks. I am sorting socks, his from mine, ours from our daughters. The house is as quiet as houses get. The dryer whispers to the washer, registers crack open to let water run through. And I sit cross-legged on the bed, pile up the white socks, match gray to gray, put the tan ones with the black dots together, let Minnie Mouse kiss Minnie Mouse, compare heels and toes, heels and toes. This is the most important job I've done all day. Socks never shout back. They love to be touched and paired with their mates. They are grateful to be placed in their drawers and are never anxious to be worn. When they grow thin and old, when a toe pokes through the tip, when dirt grinds deep into the fibers, socks don't cry, nor do they beg for mercy or another chance when I throw them away. I'm just going to read two more. This one is the title poem, Just the Girls. So, just the girls. Invite just the girls to my funeral, my daughter and my dead sister's son's wife, my other sister and her two girls, her granddaughter too. Don't forget my daughter-in-law and my gay nephew who, truth be told, always has been one of us. Invite every one of my girlfriends, those living on the far coast and the ones from town. The cancer survivors, MS sufferers, diabetics, and heart attack victims, the tall ones and the short, plump and rail thin, gimpy-kneed, hip replaced, and bad-backed women, include them all. Dance and sing at my funeral. Play instruments, tambourines, guitars, maybe a flute, definitely drums. Shake the rain stick with vigor. Spill out red wine and mimosas, Bloody Marys, hot and spicy, and a queen's table of food. Hand pies and pizza, pasta and pancakes with real maple syrup and Kerrygold butter, green and black olives, no pits, and expensive cheeses, chocolate cake, key lime pie, and full fat ice cream. Forget about calories and carbs, no dieting at my funeral. No tears either, only laughter and silly games. If you have a horse whose name is the last thing you ate, what is her name? Ice Cube. If your last text is the title of your memoir, what is it? I love you too. No corpse at my funeral, leveraging my green burial option. But digital photos cycle every 10 seconds, showing only the most attractive me. I pose wearing a hat at favorite vacation spots, New Orleans, Montreal and Reykjavik, Prague and San Francisco, Anna Maria Island and Savannah. Images mask my disappointments and anguished nights. They erase battles that brought me to my knees and moments that broke my heart, but ultimately not my spirit. In every picture, I appear happy, carefree. The girls gathered at my funeral will never divulge my lapses in judgment or wild-eyed indiscretions. They will wrap their lovely, warm arms around the memory of me, cradling my secrets with their own. And the last one I'll read. Oh, I just lost the Zoom. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I just lost it. Okay. The last one I'll read is from a new group I'm working on with Bartheley. It's a group of blues-based poems, and this one is dedicated to ZZ Top, and it's called Blue Jean Blues. The coronavirus runs amok, decimating Chinese and Italians, and now us. It seeps through porous boundaries of hospitals and ERs, causing inexplicable runs on hand sanitizer and toilet paper. But I fixate on Billy Gibbons live on my TV screen and singing about his baby who slides into his room to swipe his 20-year-old blue jeans. He's improvising, and so am I, creating enhanced versions of my familiar self, ignoring the trumped down reality of danger, warnings about staring into the sun, or elbow bumping strangers on Charlotte's Blue Line. I am anesthetized by Billy's custom-made guitar, blood red and glossy, and the way his black jacket sparks with tiny flickers of starlight. His chest-length beard refuses to tangle with the strings, but his toes run rampant, just like the virus, tapping out the rhythm to keep time. These Texas boys are frolicking on that stage, under those lights, in front of that crowd. They don't know what's with us tonight. Wuhan wet markets, one quick fatal jump from animal to human, borders closed too late, the lack of supplies and ventilators. No, it's just a fandango of good fun. The blues played without feeling blue or bamboozled by the unknown, wailing on those strings and singing at the top of our lungs. Thanks again, Shawn, for hosting this. Thank you.